Hey everyone, welcome to Spotlight Hour. Tonight, my special guest is Aries Tarrington, the Dark Jedi, Sixth Scale Cantina. How you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing phenomenal. I am so honored to be here. I love your channel. I love how it's growing, and I'm looking forward to going one on one with you, baby.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm glad. I've been a fan of yours forever. I know this is probably an anticipated episode. A lot of people have been requesting, when is Aries going to be on? When is Aries going to be on? And here we are. So thank you for joining. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure to be on here. Always ready to talk Star Wars, talk entertainment, talk life, talk hot toys, and spill and drink some coffee, baby.
Oh, I'm right here with you, bud. I'm right here with you. Uh, so, obviously, there's always a couple of generalized questions that we kind of go through on here, and then obviously we'll teeter into some other stuff a little bit later on. But the
Mhm.
main first one I'm always ask everybody is, obviously we're content creators here, but aside from that, before we even got to that step of getting into creating content, first and foremost became it all came from collecting. So I'm
Mhm.
wondering, when, like, have you been collecting stuff your whole life? Did it start with like smaller figures, or do you know what I'm saying, or is this something fairly recent that had happened in terms of collecting?
It's actually something that started way back when I was 7 years old and
Mm.
going way, way back. So I'm kind of like revealing my age. But when the first Star Wars movie was on the scene and
Hmm.
very, very popular, those 12 back Kenner Star Wars figures, those 3 3/4 figures, the figures that started it all for Star Wars. I was so into them, as were so many other boys and girls at that time,
Oh yeah.
into Star Wars figures. And I couldn't wait to go to the store with my mother, with my dad, and be able to try and get an extra figure, an extra stormtrooper, an extra Jawa,
Hmm.
another R2D2 that I can have, with the opening inside twirling around my finger or,
Oh
or
yeah.
my thumb. And as the years, I also got into the six scale figures, which are the 12-inch figures back from that time, and they had a very limited line.
Like
But
like
two
like,
of the
like the old Kenners.
like the old Kenners,
Okay.
and two of the more popular ones that came out right after the 12 backs were the 12-inch but really 15-inch Chewbacca
Mm.
and Darth Vader. Um, and I absolutely loved those figures. And as becoming more of a teenager, I would hold on to these figures. I would have them in a special the closet that I had downstairs and at my family house at the time. They would be in special bins, special boxes and stuff like that.
Right.
And that's kind of when the bug started to really hit me, because I was collecting them, but as kids we're playing with it, we really don't realize we're collecting. We're playing with
Right.
toys. Then
Exactly.
all of a sudden you start seeing those Power of the Force orange card figures. And then you start like recognizing, oh, wait a minute, they're not making these anymore. You got those other ones. So that's
Right.
kind of when it started for me. It was actually early in life, the bug, and subtly, if you will.
Hmm. And then so you got to that point for your original figures that you no longer, you're saying you essentially stop playing with them. You put them somewhere safe because you
Hmm.
realize at this point in the teenage years, you're like, okay, this is it. These are the originals.
Well, and they're all gone, because
Oh.
we moved several times and they didn't last the test of time, unfortunately for myself. For a lot of that stuff. Um, I still have a couple of things from back then. Um, but the interesting thing is I started to really get into um, starting to collect the Power of the Force orange cards. Those big, beefy. Kenner figures from way back, and
Yeah.
before Hasbro bought them out. And then they had the green card figures, and then just starting to collect a lot of those, and going back into, in my later 20s, collecting vintage figures that I had when I was a kid, but mint in the package.
Right. So they're
So
like throwback to the early
yeah,
days.
and let me tell you something, brother. That is a real expensive game
Mm.
to start getting into that. But I was so interested in recapturing my childhood and recapturing those glory days and how I felt about toys and, Star Wars in general, that it became so much fun to try and score, a 12 back, a 20 back, a 21 back, something on a Empire Strikes Back card, something on a
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi card, while collecting all the new Power of the Force figures and lines. So I started to just get into everything and anything, Anthony, that I could get my hands on. I would hoard it up, like a dragon, and start, collecting those figures. But the real joy of it for me was being able to anchor a lot of that collection on a lot of the vintage stuff that I experienced when I was, a child
Right.
at that point. So really, it was Kenner
Mm.
and Star Wars itself that got me into collecting way back when those movies first came out, the first movie. And it's been just something that's in my heart, and something that I could just taste like the coffee, and something I can't get away from, even today. It's different today how I collect, but I've learned a lot. But that kind of tells you a little bit of my journey getting into it.
Wow. So yeah, it's like that's such a great story because it really stemmed from childhood, and it just as you matured through life and you kind of fine tuned it and got to that point where you're like, you know what, I'm really into collecting these now, and
It's about recapturing. It was about recapturing the moments from when I was a kid, Anthony. So
mhm.
one of the things that we would do is, I would go. I was very very young, as a child, um, and if my mother was going to, one of her bowling events, and she was in a bowling league, and she had a league that was called the Happy Hookers. You hooked the ball, but it was a great thing that her and all her girlfriends had, at the bowling alleys and different events and stuff like that. And then I would get together with those other women's kids, and we would just play Star Wars figures out in the corner by some of the arcade machines in the bowling alley. We would go into the cafeteria. We would go outside. We would
Mm,
go here. We would go there. And there was just so much fun. I would be playing it at my friend's house. My friends would be coming over. We'd be talking
right.
about, R2D2 beating up Darth Vader. We'd be doing all kinds of like crazy. It was fun. It
Yeah,
was a lot of
you're
fun.
having fun playing and being a kid.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess for me, as we get older, things get more serious, right? And it should
Oh
be.
yeah.
There is a deeper sense of responsibility. There's things that we have to do. But I think for me, I wanted to recapture some of those fun times that were very special to me. And I feel that in collecting now, um, that's what it does for me. It gives me, it's kind of like, did you ever have deja vu?
Oh yeah,
And
all the time.
right. And I've been having it a lot lately, which is really interesting. But sometimes if you get a certain smell, or
Mhm.
it brings you back to like, oh, wait a minute, why did I even think that? I remembered with that C3PO how shiny it was, that that figure, and wow, I can't believe I just remembered that. That's awesome to me. And
Yeah,
sometimes I
it
feel
just
like,
comes back.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. I sometimes I feel like that's why when I come on sixthscalecantina.com, people always say to me, "Man, you're so positive. You're so positive. You're so I'm not trying to be positive. I'm not forcing it to be positive. It's just what I am. if I'm going to get into this, if I'm going to spend money on toys at my age, with all the responsibilities and things that I've got
Right.
to do, if I'm going to come on here and do this with you, or come in and do some channel stuff, I want to have fun. I want to have fun
Yeah.
like at that bowling alley with my friends back in the 70s and
Mm.
in the 80s. I don't want to come on here and be stressed about something because I have enough of that during the day, baby. So this is a release for
Yeah.
me.
That's a good point, man. That is a profound statement right there. You're bringing it back to the bowling alley, and that's exactly what they're. Yeah, and there's absolutely nothing. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being positive about it, especially if you're it's genuine, like you're saying. You're like I remember these memories, or like you're saying with the certain smells. Like I even had that happen not even that long ago. I was walking around down the street and I smelled something, and it totally brought me back to the '80s. I was like, whoa. Like it just instantly, you know what I mean? You kind of unlock these memories, or like kind of, certain things resurface. And you're like, man, those were good. Those were good times. And to
Mm.
be able to project the feelings that you had into your channel is an amazing thing, man. And like you said, I mean, there's enough we all have as we get older, and even when you're a little bit younger, but especially I think when as we get older, there's a lot more serious things happening, and this should be a great
Hmm.
outlet to have fun, like you said, and
Hmm.
express. And it's just, man, that isn't, yeah. You got me deep on that one, Aries. You got me
We're
thinking about
really
bowling alleys.
it. Sometimes I like to dissect in why is it that I do it that I do? Why is it that we do that we do? And I guess collecting in many ways it's addictive. In many ways it's a
Yeah,
habit.
sure.
In many ways we're just doing something to do something. But I do think that at the core of everything, there is a deeper meaning. There is something that subconsciously even drives us to be able to do what we do. And I think that we're always trying to recapture certain moments from the past, certain feelings that we're trying to have a resurface again, or keeping at the surface of what we do. And collecting to me should be fun.
Hmm.
And I've went through many, many times where collecting sucked and it
Yeah.
wasn't fun because it put me at one stage in considerable debt, and it wasn't becoming fun, and it was becoming more of I got this, I must have this, I got this piece, I must have this part of
Right.
the line, and I couldn't stop. It was almost like it just was not becoming fun. What started off as fun started to become an albatross put around my neck. And that's something
Hmm.
that I always try to encourage people to have fun with collecting. And that's why one of the reasons I put up the market value chart.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was curious about, was whether or not the reason behind that was it because, as you're stating, like it was fun and then it became not fun, and you got into debt from it. And I was wondering, was that an inspiration to you to create your Six Scale Cantina market chart, specifically because, as we all know, we want to have fun, and sometimes we may get carried away, and before we know it, we're neck deep in debt.
Partly, yes. That
Hmm.
is one of the reasons why. I mean, one of the main reasons is because I just love to do it. And we'll talk about that. And the other part of the reason is exactly that. Because it's fun to be able to hunt toys. This is what we're doing. We're bounty hunters. We're collecting toys. We're trying to look for the best deals.
Right.
We're trying to get something that nobody else has, or it's very difficult to get, whether it's a subconscious thing, or even if we say, oh, no, it's not why I do it. I find that for a lot of people, though, subconsciously, they do feel really good about it if they have a rare piece. That
Oh,
being said,
absolutely.
yeah, that being said, because of my experiences that I had, I realized that the value within that rare piece is like value in dust.
Mm.
All we are is dust in the wind. And even more so when it comes to toys and it comes to IPs and it comes to things like this. You don't know if something's going to go down. You don't know if people aren't going to be as interested in a specific thing anymore. You don't
Right.
know if interest in baby boomers are going to have the same interest in the X generation, so on so forth.
Hmm.
And also with the technology nowadays with 3D printers and what they can do with printing. Um, It's just that there's a lot of fakes out there and things that can be done. Forget about now. What about in 100 years, 200 years, 300
Oh
years?
yeah.
And that being said, I learned the hard way that you cannot, if a figure is worth $1,000, you can't rest on that like you have a bar of gold or $1,000 worth of gold. And even though that's not set in stone, that's a pretty safe bet, and you follow where gold is, where silver is, fine. If you
Right.
try to do that with toys, man, it's it's not a really good idea. And part of putting up Sixth Scale Cantina and
Mhm.
the market value chart is being able to have a sense of where a figure is. And at the end of the day, if your figure can retain its value of the retail price, and then when you calculate shipping and you calculate taxes and inflation, if you can get almost that back or a little bit more back, you're in great shape. And
Right.
then with a lot of these figures, when they start going up in value, um, it's fun to be able to calculate how much your collection is worth, but you have to realize that it's not set in stone. And if there's a reissue, if there's a decline in that particular IP, or if as decades and times move on, if there's less of an interest, which is not going to happen with Star Wars.
Right.
It could happen,
It
but
could.
because Disney bought it and because of what's going on, it's less and less likely that is going to happen. But still, you shouldn't get together with your financial advisor and your accountant and feel like that this is like pieces of gold, pieces of silver.
Right.
So
Like it's a big investment that's gonna keep
yeah, so
appreciating.
yeah, so I think it's good because for me, knowing the value of the figures, I'm able to know what my collection is worth. If I ever have to move out of my collection, what I can get out of it, and if there's an in particular influx or decrease or a movement within the secondary market for particular figures or a particular line, to be able to be knowledgeable of it, not just to continue to collect and
Mm.
continue to collect, and not have an understanding of what's going on behind the trees, what's hovering in front of you behind the clouds, who may be because a lot of times we wake up in the morning, it's kind of like Independence Day. Will Smith is moving, coming out in his bathrobe. He doesn't even realize the mothership's above him and what's going on because he's
Right.
oblivious. And one of the things, and because I'm into martial arts a lot and self-defense, is a lot of people just aren't aware. They're always on their phones, they're not paying attention,
Right.
what's going on. And you can do that with anything in life. I can do that. I do
Oh,
that.
sure.
I have done that. And you can do that with collecting. You can just keep collecting hot toys, for instance, and hot toys and hot toys and hot toys, or this, or statues, or whatever it is that you collect, or Hasbro, and not have any sense or knowledge that the bottom is about to fall out or
Mm.
that something is going to happen. And when you're collecting and you're collecting on in this magnitude, unless you've got buku bucks and money is of no object, it's just good to know where the market is at. And you know, for instance, Anthony, if we're going
Mhm.
to continue to spend, $250 to $300 on a basic Hot Toys figure, it would be good to know that in the secondary market, if they all start selling like the Jet Troopers, well in the low hundreds, 150,
Oh,
you
yeah.
may want to reconsider what you're paying for these things again because you're losing a whole lot.
That is true. That is true. And I think it's a great asset to the community personally. I know a lot of people as well in the community definitely appreciate um your dedication to it and the knowledge that you bring, just the insight that's like you said, so people can kind of know where the figures are. It's not necessarily looking at it like a stock report, but because again we all know that if you're getting into hot toys for investment, that's the wrong game. It's first and foremost the love of collecting, but it's good to be able to know, oh, okay, this figure's kind of going up on secondary market, or like you said, like wow, my figure's worth less than $100. You know what I mean? And that shouldn't, and again, that shouldn't matter to you if you want the figure, but like, again, because it's not an investment, but it's
Hmm.
still, it's so good to know. Like even myself, like I've gone and looked at your market chart specifically for that reason. I'm like, what's going on here? What's moving? Because some figures I need to pick up that I missed, and I can use that as a frame of reference. I can gauge whether or not right now, no, that's too pricey. Oh, I'm seeing it's kind of on a decline. Let's take a look. Let's see what kind of deal. So it's very valuable asset,
Hmm.
man, and I think everybody really appreciates the time and dedication you put into that, and that's an interesting story to know how it came to be.
Well, and the interesting thing about it is, and I've preached this a lot, and I respect
Mhm,
everybody's opinions, and I totally get it because I know this from um, being a vintage collector, in the past, and
mhm,
collecting a lot of Hasbro and collecting a lot of Kenner and collecting a lot of this and collecting a lot of that, that you don't want to reissue. You know,
right,
you want, if a hat is a hat club or a lids exclusive, you don't want to see 4 or 5 years later that hat get exclusive at another shop. I totally get it. I've been collecting a long time.
yeah,
The thing of it is, when it comes to Hot Toys, they never say, unless it's a con exclusive or their exclusive, that something is exclusive or it's a limited run, unless they go ahead and put that in, to never be released again. So
right,
they have every right legally to put out any of these. We talked about the Han Solo and Chewbacca on my show yesterday, Market
mhm,
Show Live on February 19th. And it's interesting that this set now has been the first set that the market chart on sixthscalecantina.com has been able to track as the first Hot Toys piece for Star Wars that has breached the $1,000 tier range.
yeah,
Um, but you have to wonder, to think that, oh, they've already reissued that, they're not going to reissue that again. Um, you've got Hasbro right now
mhm,
that are remaking 12 back all the old Kenner molds from back in the 70s, which look like garbage, which look
yeah,
like crap, but it's nostalgia. And there is something very interesting about Hot Toys as we're all getting into Hot Toys, as we're all, spilling our coffee over Hot Toys. There is something, the reason why Hot Toys is so unique and so well talked about is because, is it possible that it's a little bit of an anomaly? It's something that people are catching wind of right now, kind of like back, in the 70s with the Kenner figures with Star Wars. There were already GI Joes out. There
right,
were already plenty of Justice League and those type of figures that were already out. Kenner came into the mix.
mhm,
Star Wars was trying to get that deal with Mattel at the time, or some of these other companies that happened to fall onto Kenner. It was it was just very unique. And you have to wonder, is we're in the middle of Hot Toys right now. Just like no one realized in the 70s and 80s what was going to happen with these Kenner figures. Nobody knew it.
yeah,
Or
no,
they would
no,
be stocking up on these because they would be making tens of thousands of dollars in the future if they can see the future. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I do think with Hot Toys that there's something very collectible and unique. Regardless if a new company comes in with the greatest computer and 3D technology in the world ever seen before by humankind,
mhm,
and they blow it out of the water, there's going to be something intrinsically valuable, I think personally, about Hot Toys in the decades to come, that could possibly be collectible. That being said, it's nowhere
mhm,
written that you cannot come out with these figures again. You're seeing, as I just brought up, Hasbro reissuing a lot
right,
of the figures from the past. And even though that they're quote unquote different molds or a little bit, they look exactly the same. So, and regardless what anybody says, it does hurt the value. It's going to hurt the value of those vintage figures. And as technology continues to improve, it's going to be continually being harder and harder You're going to have to really go from the machinery, the tools used in the past, the materials, the R&D used in the past to be able to almost like carbon dating to fit you can't. I'm very good at that, and I can tell a fake
Mhm.
from a real. Um, and that's where the value on those vintage figures on the card in the box are going to retain their value and go up. And I think it's going to be the same thing, possibly when it comes to hot toys. But at the end of the day, there's uh, it, that figures over. It's hit like 1,044. I think it's on the market chart now. That set
Yeah,
first
yeah,
figure to go
something right
over a
around
thousand.
there.
They're 1,000% going to give you another Han Solo and Chewbacca 2 pack. And I'm not talking about the Force Awakens one, which they'll do that again as well. You don't have to go spend that money. If your interest is solely just getting a Chewbacca and Han Solo from A New Hope, just have patience, baby. They're 1,000% going to do it. They have a lot of, they're just not going to let eBay continue to capitalize on that type of demand that because that's a lot of demand
Yeah.
for those figures. So just exercise some patience. That's why I don't got every figure. People are like Aries. Why don't you have Tarkin? Why don't you have this Jyn Erso? Why don't you have Chirrut? Well, because I haven't been able to find it for $350.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you'll
Patience.
never find it again, Aries. Baloney. With all the stuff, you're never going to see Donnie Yen again, Anthony. You're never
Right.
tell me you're never going to see Donnie Yen again on Disney Plus.
Yeah. And I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
yeah.
Because you never know. We can't predict the future. And you're right, as a business, Hot Toys is in the money. So it may not be tomorrow, it may not be 2 years from now. But again, at the end of the day, that's what patience is it. It could be 10 years from now for all we know. But in 10 years they could put that out again and you can save money. And there's something to be said about that with the exclusivity of the things. Like, people like you said, what you mentioned with the hats, like you want to have what you have, but there comes a certain point where if enough years go by and they do reissue or they slightly change it to give other customers or collectors an opportunity, it's going to happen. It's not going to happen every, what I'm saying, every couple years, because it would totally devalue and collapse the structure of Hot Toys. So but that is interesting that we do talk about Hot Toys, because like you said, you'd started with all the old stuff, the originals, the smaller figures, and then now just like all of us, we're into Hot Toys. So like, can you remember when you first saw a hot toy, or when you were like, wow, what is this, and I have to get it? In other words, like, what was your like first experience with Hot Toys?
Well, you have to wonder, did I spill my coffee when I first started hearing about Hot Toys? And I say, yes.
Yes.
Look, I was completely like, what the heck is this?
Mhm.
What in the world is this? And I, it became really something that I started to keep an eye on because of how close. Because one of the things that until recently that a lot of these manufacturers have struggled with is capturing the likeness of Star Wars characters.
Mm.
Because you could see a Luke Skywalker in a farm boy outfit, and he had the beige or the yellow pants, and he had the white tunic on, and he had the blonde hair, and he had the binoculars and a
Yeah.
lightsaber. You're like, oh, okay, that's got to be Luke, because who else wear it? Han Solo doesn't wear that outfit. Oh, that's
Right.
got to be Han Solo, because his blue pants with the red stripes or the yellow stripe going down. You got the white shirt, the blue vest, and you got kind of 70s hair, and you got a pistol. Oh, that's not Luke, that's Han. You just kind of deduce, but they
Right.
really don't look like him. They don't
No.
look like Mark Hamill. They don't look like Harrison. Oh, Princess Leia. Who does that look like? It could look like Betty Crocker. It doesn't look like Carrie Fisher, but because it has two buns and a white outfit, you're like, oh, okay, that's got to be Princess Leia. They're not very good. Then you see a hot toy, and you're like, what kind of devilry is this? Because it
Right.
looks so like I'm quoting Sean Bean from Fellowship of the Ring. Holy smokes, these are phenomenal. And one of the very interesting things, because you go down a rabbit hole where you start to collect packaging, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing because I
Right.
do it. But seeing Hot Toys and seeing people within the community and within the market open their Hot Toys. You're keeping the art box. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people keep the shipper. You keep the instruction booklet. You keep the clamshells.
Oh
But a
yeah.
hot toy is meant to be posed or played with, adult played with, which is different than a kid playing it and smashing it against the
Very,
wall.
very true. Very true.
Right. Like a toy. And I was liberated when I saw this, not only by the quality, which is absolutely something I've never seen before, but the fact that you can take these out of the packaging, store the packaging, but take them out and actually play with them. Because when you're in the collecting community, if you want expensive Star Wars figures or you want the right collectible from, like, let's say what's popular right now, the Black Series,
Right.
or you wanted popular, everybody was scooping up. I remember when the Phantom Menace came out and going to Midnight Madness, not only at Walmart, but at Target and at Toys R Us at the time, and this store and that store. Oh my goodness gracious, the lines. I would be one of those people. I kid you
Mm.
not. I would have some of my daughters with me, sitting out on the sidewalk outside, waiting hours for those doors to open up to go pick up some of these figures. And no one would take it out of the packaging, and no bend on the cardboard, and no dents in the box. And you're not even enjoying what the heck is inside the
True.
actual package anymore. And you have to wonder, those figures were so bad that they sold it by the actual image on the package look good.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's Han Solo because there's Harrison Ford on the package. You look at the figure like, okay, is that Han Solo? With a hot toy, not only do they not use the film pictures from the film or the TV show, they
Mm-hmm.
use the pictures from the actual figure,
Yeah.
which in most times is not even as good as the figure that's inside the damn package, baby.
Right.
So, like a kid, we were talking about this at the onset of this,
Mm-hmm.
in the bowling alley, playing with my friends, playing at home. Couldn't wait to get together with my friends. What do you think we're doing now as an adult? We're spending time, we're having posing contests. Why
Yeah.
do you think we pose figures or we do this or we do that? We're having fun. Sure,
Yeah.
maybe as when we were 7 years old, 10, 12 years old, we weren't posing them with the intricacy like we're seeing a lot of the collectors and we do right now, but we're basically posing them. And that was fun to me. So I 1000% got liberated from hoarding in so much crap like a dragon, hoarding onto its gold. So
Mm-hmm.
I can actually enjoy Hot Toys. It's better quality.
Yeah.
It's collectible like I've never seen before
Oh yeah.
in my life. And the other thing is you can play with them and not lose any value whatsoever. How liberating is Hot Toys? And let me tell you something. There are a lot of people from other collecting companies, whether it's Gentle Giant or whether it's Hasbro or any of them, that are starting to discover Hot Toys when it comes to Star Wars. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot more collectors coming in to Hot Toys for Star Wars.
Mm. Yeah. No, I agree. I 100% agree on that. It's like we're, Hot Toys is old, but not old as far as like the Kenner days and things like that. So we're not even, I think, at like the apex of where Hot Toys can be. So
Hmm.
as far as like going like later down the road, like we talked about, yeah, they may reissue some stuff later. We haven't seen anything yet. And you're right though. I never really thought of it in that respect that. Because even I did, as a kid, I got to that point where I was collecting and playing with my toys. And then sometimes, somewhere along those lines, I just bought the figures and then I kept them in the, you know what I'm saying? I kept them in
Hmm.
the box. I was like, well, no. Now I'm not going to open these. And then before you know it, you have like so many of them. But now we have these Hot Toys where like, no, they look like the characters, and we can open them like you said, and we can play around with them and no problems. If we wanted to sell them or even whatever the case is, the value does not you know what I'm saying? Like, because
Hmm.
you're not ripping open the package and having loose figures. That doesn't matter with Hot Toys. So
Well, And here's the other interesting thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, because I still collect things within the package. Packaging's cool.
Sure. Yeah.
But what we're trying to do, here's the problem with the bubble, which will burst with the
Mhm.
way that we're collecting Hasbro and a lot of these other figures. You're trying to recapture, and people are still trying to, in 2022, recapture the magic from the 70s and 80s of trying to say something is worth something because it's still in the package. Everybody's onto it. Everybody knows if you keep it in the package, it's going to be worth that, like that 12-back Vader from 1977. And is it possible that they're wrong? And I say yes, because everybody's onto it. And so everybody kept everything in the package from episode 1 to Phantom Menace. Everything
Right.
from the blue cards of Attack of the Clones, keep them in the package. Everything from Revenge of the Sith, everything from the freeze frame figures, everything from the orange card, Power of the Force figures, the green card. They're worth nothing. I lost so much money on those trying to chase figures that were worth so much money because everybody was scooping those up, keeping them in the package. They are literally a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of understand now, when you have Hasbro Black Series exclusives, you could only get a San Diego Comic-Con. You could only get a Walmart exclusive. You can only get this. That is where a lot of your value on those figures are. But it's not the same as a vintage. There's no exclusivity to a 12-back double telescoping Luke Skywalker. There's nothing exclusive about a vinyl Cape Jawa, which is the most popular Star Wars collect. It's not the most. It's a Grail. It's not the
Right.
Grail. There's
Right.
other figures that are a Grail, but that's the most common known Grail. There's nothing exclusive about it. Everyone from Two Guys to Toys R Us to Child World to Woolworths, everybody had a vinyl Cape Jawa when they first came out.
True.
The
That's
thing
true.
is they stopped making them, and people kept ripping open the package. You're not going to do that today if they come out with an Azaj Ventress on a vintage collection card, unless it's going to be made in very, very low quantities, which
Right.
is the new way to try and get value, which is why I love the vintage collection. It's awesome. My oldest daughter collects vintage collection figures. There's some stuff out there that is quite valuable, and I
Mm.
like the vintage collection, but it's not produced. Um,
Like it was
some
like
of them
back
are
in the
not
day.
produced in big numbers, but make no mistake, it's not because it's rare, because everybody got it and ripped open the package. There's something special about the vintage. There
Yeah.
really were an exclusive. So I just want to kind of point that out. It's really interesting, but I think we try to recapture that magic, and
Yeah.
you can't recapture that magic. And that's the thing with Hot Toys. All these third party companies could come. We talk about a lot. They're going to have a chance, blah, blah, blah. That's great. And I think there's going to be companies that do better than Hot Toys.
Mhm.
Hot Toys started it, just like for Star Wars, Kenner started it.
Right.
So is it possible that there's something there? We'll have to keep an eye on it. I don't know, but I do think that there is something
Oh,
for the long
sure.
term. Yeah.
No, I 100% agree. I mean, because look at, and I know there's other channels out there as well, that will deal with Black Series or vintage and things like that. But you can look at like where we are in our realm. Like we have a lot. We're all six scale / Hot Toys. Um, uh, collectors or in our cases content creators, and by you going through and setting up your market chart and whatnot. Now I know at that point you were really really appreciating and getting into this, but then it's like, at what point did the light bulb go off that you were like, you know what, I think I want to talk about this publicly. I want to, you know what I mean? Like, I want to create a channel. Like, how did that come to? Was that just the natural evolution of collecting and creating the market chart, or like?
My better half, which is a real wizard. Um, she's an inspiration to me. She's a wonderful woman, and I wouldn't be anywhere where I am today without her, without her support. She's my best friend. My wife
Mhm.
is very, very encouraging. I really put a lot of emphasis on sixthscalecantina.com And I really just kind of wanted to get it out there, get a lot of people within the community to know about it. Obviously, coming on to different shows from different content creators, letting them know about sixthscalecantina.com. Be honest with you. I wasn't really sure about the community. I'm an old guy. I've got
Mm.
I've got some seasoning going on here. And who the hell's going to want to watch anything or listen to anything that I want to say? Um, but my wife was encouraging me. She's like, "Hey, you are a very inspirational person. You're very, charismatic, and you love this stuff. And maybe if you give it a shot." And she kept talking about it because I had the website up before then. And I'm like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Maybe
Right.
there'll be 50 people that I hang out with. They'll join the channel. They're like, oh, okay, you're going to come up, you're going to do this, you're going to talk about this, and maybe a few friends that I meet and do it. Maybe it was like, okay. I said, and I just kind of went for it and put it up. Well, I had no idea it was going to take off the way it did. The intent certainly wasn't for it to take off the way it did at all. The intent was the
Mm.
website, sixthscalecantina.com, and to
Right.
put
Right.
everything that I had into that. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I keep getting all these subscribers. I'm like, holy crow. Because you got to remember, I just started this thing basically a year ago in January of 2021, the end of January
Yeah.
of 2021. And I started to kind of feel the wave and feel the vibe. So I was like, okay, I'm having fun with this. This is a nice little outlet. I'm really enjoying it. Let me continue to go. And basically just talking about for a lot of what I put on sixthscalecantina.com and being able to bring that into a show. Now it's expanded a little bit where I get to talk about the whole passion of why I collect Star Wars. You
Right.
notice with the Aries Tarrington show, we get to talk about what's going to happen in Star Wars, like Star Wars Theory or a Mike Zero or a lot of these other channels that get to enjoy just to talk about Star Wars. I never really imagined I would have an opportunity or a platform to be able to do that. But I mean, there's a reason I collect Star Wars and not GI Joes.
Right.
Um,
Right. Yeah.
although I did have a nice mint on card Baroness from GI Joe, which I sold.
Ooh.
But there's a reason because I love Star Wars.
Right.
So it kind of just took off, dude. I don't know, but I will tell you this. I've gotten so many comments from people. Why don't you do a market chart for Marvel? Why don't you do a market chart for DC? Why don't you do this and do that? Well, because when I tell you it's a labor of love, it's a lot of work to calculate data. It's
Oh,
a lot of
absolutely.
work to sit there and look at figures. And while I appreciate the Marvel figures, and we're Marvel fans in my household,
Mhm.
we go to the theaters for all the big Avenger movies. My daughter's a giant Spider-Man fan, my youngest daughter. There's no way we're missing No Way Home
Oh,
and
of
going
course. Right.
to the theater with it. And I love all those characters. And if I had the money, would I collect those hot toys? You bet your butt I would. It's
Mm.
not my passion. It's not my number one. It's not my it's not my thing. It's just not my thing. So for me to do it would require work and for me to be able to compete and put that out. I'm not saying I'll never do it because I'm starting to get into and appreciate more and more about hot toys. I love every
Right.
hot toy. But it's got to be when I feel it. Because if I don't feel it, it's fake, it's pushed, it's forced, it's work, it's no longer fun. Like that collecting, I got to collect all the orange cards. I got to collect all these. Oh, I missed that one at Midnight Madness. I'm going to go spend $150 now to get the black vested Darth Maul on this forum because I couldn't find it in there. It's worth
Right.
nothing now. Boy, what a waste. Um, I just didn't want to go down that road because I've been down that road because of this. I've been through it and I know
Right.
better.
Absolutely. No, that's a good point, and it shows it shows in your content and in the community that okay, Aries is the Star Wars guy. He loves Star Wars. So if all of a sudden, and I'm not, and again, I know what you're saying, never say never, but if it was suddenly a Marvel thing or a DC thing, you have to have it in you, and agreed that you enjoy those properties, but just from our conversation even right now, I mean, it's coming from very early childhood has been Star Wars. That is your love, like that's your passion, and that shows, and the viewers see that. And you're right, it's like it would feel fake right now, right? And again, down the road, maybe things can change, but this is the passion, and it's so genuine, and that's interesting. You just were like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna see if maybe a few people tune in, want to listen to me. And now here we are a year later. I mean, you're now over 2,000 subscribers. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I think, and the reception was just so overwhelming. And thank you so much for, people were like, for having a market, a chart and being able to track where these figures were. And I think it's so important to be able to not have your head buried into the sand
Right.
and not be aware of what the value is or what the trends are with the figures that you're spending 200, 300, and depending on if they're a deluxe or what they come with, over that you are investing in them, even though you should be investing in enjoyment. You should be investing in fun. You should be investing in what you have. But make no mistake, anything that you invest in, even if it's for fun, unless it's a perishable or something you just don't give a crap about, you really should know if you're going to be able to get your value back on it. So the thing is why does the market matter? Why does the price matter? Are you kidding me?
Right.
Otherwise, you're just, if you have that much money or so much money where it just doesn't matter, okay, well then it doesn't matter. I'm always, and for maybe some people it's okay, it doesn't matter. But for me, knowledge is power, and being able
Absolutely.
to know what's going on, not only at retail, but what's going on in the secondary market. It's really important. And I've said this phrase since I started the channel. Don't fall for the hype, but follow the hype. And I've
Mm.
drilled it into people's heads over and over and over and over again. I haven't really said that phrase this year, but a lot of people that have been watching my channel since the beginning and month after month know that that's a big, big thing with me. Don't fall for the hype, but follow the hype. You want to be able to know if you're driving to work every day, or you're getting your kids in a new sports program, or you're just living your life. You want to know if gas is going to go up another couple of dollars. You
Sure.
want to know what's going on in the world. You don't want your head up your butt. Why does it matter? It matters because knowledge is power. Just being able to know where things are. Me personally, I plan on never selling these
Mm.
Star Wars Hot Toys figures. That's not why I'm into it. I've got people asking me all the time, Aries, do you buy multiples to so you could sell one? No. And I don't really care if I know for a fact,
Right.
that if I buy one that I could make 300, 400 bucks on it, and I could use 300, 400 bucks, but the time of effort it would be for me to package it and list it, it's not worth it for me for that much money to do that. I'm not interested in doing that at all. And I always caution people, which have been plenty, that have reached out to me and asked me that question, should I do it? Saying, like Qui-Gon told Watto, sometimes when you gamble, my friend, you lose. So don't don't
Yep.
don't just magically think that you're going to get it on this particular figure. Again, there's a lot of people, they use the word scalpers, or they do this, they do that, and that's fine. That's not just in hot toys, that's in everything. That's not
Oh
my
yeah.
game. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just saying I just don't have time for it.
Right.
So then why do I follow the market if you don't give a crap about that? Because I want to know where my collection's at. And in case something is going to take a deep dive, I may want to get out of some stuff because I had knowledge. It's kind of like if you know that there's going to be an invasion, or you know that there's going to be a major earthquake, you maybe want to get into your car and drive out of town instead of having your head up your butt before something happens. And that's the whole reason I do what I do, brother.
That's well put, man. You're absolutely right. It's almost like a not really like a premonition, but you know what I mean. You have the data in front of you, and it's smart, especially as you're saying. Looking at the older figures where everybody bought them, they kept them all, mint on card, and you don't want to go through that again. I don't think anybody wants to. So it's I know, because there's a lot of people out there like, well, why do we need a market or this or that? I'm like, well, like you're saying, man, that knowledge is that's very valuable to people who are collecting. So I think everybody appreciates it. I certainly appreciate it, and the fact that it's a labor of love. It comes from your love and the heart, the passion of Star Wars. So it's great overall. I think everybody loves that. But,
Oh yeah,
you
the
know,
reception's been overwhelming, and I'm so glad people have been enjoying it. And thank you so much, for those kind words. And we're going to keep
of
doing it
course,
as long as it remains fun, and I keep it fun. And,
yeah,
and people ask me all the time, well, what figures do you collect? And they're very surprised because they're like, oh, you're not getting this? That's on hot. You're not getting that? No. Well, why? Well, the same reason why I don't have every figure in the secondary market, and I'm a Star
mm,
Wars nutcase because I have the budget.
right.
So honestly, and I've told people this before, and they're kind of like, "Wow, thank you for the epiphany." If Hot Toys announced 100 figures tomorrow, there's no sweat off. I'm actually going to be jumping for joy and spilling so much coffee because I'm still only going to get what I need.
Right.
And but now I have the selection, and I'm going to have to really look at it. Well, I really didn't want that trooper, and I was really just getting this because I have a need because it's time to buy another hot toy. But
Yeah.
now I get the mace that I want, or now that mace is the one I really wanted. That Padme is what I really wanted. Wow, they're coming out with a Max Rebo band. Forget this other Mandalorian, this Night
Right.
Watch one or Death Watch or almost Death Watch. I'm going to get the Max Rebo band. It gives me more options. So now I'm just going to get what I want. Remember, and I'm going to bring this up, and whether it's right or wrong. There were some where we were younger kids. You know how like boys and girls are. Oh, girls, or
Yeah.
boys, So a lot of them when you're really young, I don't want the Leia figure. Oh,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
until you get a little bit older. So no, none of the kids were buying the Leia figure. There was no like you were just having fun. Oh, they came out with we must have the Princess Leia figure when I was 7 years old. Get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
I
That
was
didn't
just
yeah.
having fun. And is it possible that we should have the same mindset now, which would help in for budgeting purposes and peace of mind? And I say yes.
Absolutely. I agree. And it's funny that you mentioned this just now. You were saying, um, in regards to having the figures or as an example, and you're like, oh, well, maybe, it's just been a while and I just need to get a figure. The reason though, really, because I was talking to Dante, Manaha Collectibles recently. And I don't know where maybe somewhere over here, I'll put a link, for his interview. And he had mentioned that too, as part of like, as you said, like, it is kind of an addiction. And sometimes you're like, man, it's been a while. It's been a while since I picked up a figure, and you just feel that itch. You're like, you know what I mean? Even if it's like you said, if there were more figures, you'd have more options. But you get that itch, and then you look, and you're like, yeah, there's a few I like, but and you end up buying one because like you said, you're like, it's been a little bit. I need to get my fix. So it is an addiction, and that's where I think again, coming into having a market chart, it helps. Even if it's retail, I get it. But if it's, especially if you're like, I'm itching, I'm looking backwards, I really wanted this figure. Hot Toys isn't really putting out what I want right now. Maybe I'm going to dive backwards.
Mhm.
Insightful. Uh, but interesting. I need to know. What is up with the coffee? You're always you have all these coffees, these juices. Where did that? What is that? Was that something that was always? Are you an avid coffee drinker? I mean, because I am. I always have it.
So it's very interesting you bring this up, but I'm going to tie it into is it possible? And you have to wonder as well because everything that I do here is very much what I am in real life.
Mm,
So when people know me, my friends, whether I go over their house, whether I'm at an event, whether I'm driving in the car, no matter where I show up, I'm always have a drink in my hand, and usually it's coffee. So you probably have seen me at a lot of shows, even on this show, and I'm actually just always drinking, when it's not my turn. Um, and by the way, it's kind of funny because I just recently went to another doctor checkup, and my kidney function is off the charts. I said, "Wow, never
oh,
seen anything like this at your age." It's like perfect. Well, because I guess I'm flushing everything out, baby.
right.
But literally, it's something that I I just always do. And I take a lot of long road trips, especially going to events and stuff like that. There'll be a lot of rest stops because I'm always drinking and I always have coffee in my hand a lot. And if it's not coffee and it's later on in the day, it's some other type of drink. So it's just something that has been with me a lot. And is it possible that because I have it so much that the chances of me spilling it on this and that has increased? Yeah. So I have spilled my coffee plenty of times. So it kind of goes with what I am. So that's kind of what it is.
No,
And
that's
the
good.
whole, yeah, and the whole is a possible thing to go along with that
Hmm.
is, my wife would tell you, and maybe sometime I'm going to have her go on here. I am an ultra, ultra, ultra positive person. So one of my favorite characters of all time, which is not a Star Wars character, is Captain James T. Kirk. And
Ooh.
I love the 𝕄𝔸𝔽𝕀𝔸, and I love that they put that in the J.J. Abrams remake with Zachary Quinto and then what is this? It leaves my mind. Who's playing the Kirk again now?
Chris
Um,
Pine.
Chris Pine.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome crew. But listen, he doesn't believe in no-win scenarios.
Right.
And is it possible that the Dark Jedi doesn't believe in no-win scenarios? And I say yes. And that's why I love Han Solo, because never tell me the odds.
Right. Right. And you are, man. You are very positive. And everybody knows and sees that. I mean, that's what's great about it, because you have the passion there. That's the love for you're doing this for the love, and people see that, and that's why people are tuning in, and that's why your channel's been growing in my opinion, like at a rapid pace. Like what you're saying, where you're just like, I'm gonna try this out, not expecting much, and then boom. And I think it's because of your content, man. Positivity is contagious, and people again want to have fun. They don't want to deal with the stuff that they're dealing with in the everyday life. We don't need that in our entertainment or our leisure. So
No.
I think it's great, man. I love it. I especially love, and I'm sure people want to know, and hey, if you want to talk about it, we can. If not, that's okay. But the Hot Toys Wizard. Okay, what's up, man? Because especially now, we're seeing a lot of people in on it, and it's a lot of fun. What can you talk about that at all? Do you want to talk about that at all?
What could I say? I don't really know how exactly uh, the wizard came up, but
Mm.
all I could say is, I think there is some mystery surrounding the wizard, isn't there?
Mm.
And a lot of people have insinuated, Aries, I believe you're the wizard. But as you can see on many different shows, I've received phone calls from the wizard. So unless I'm calling myself, is it possible the wizard is me? Is it possible the wizard is you? Is it possible the wizard
Mm.
is someone we don't know? You have to wonder. All I could say is the Hot Toys wizard is running wild, and we'll have to just keep an eye on the wizard to see if the awesome coffee spilling predictions that the wizard has been, I don't know, really, really good. When we say the Hot Toys wizard said it, it's been a little bit crazy. There's been some crazy things that we were all, including me, saying, no, this really is not going to happen. And then here comes Hot Toys, and it's like, what the F, baby? Are you kidding me? I cannot believe you do that.
Right.
What does this mean? Well, I don't know if it means anything, because sometimes it's hard to establish a pattern with them. But the Hot Toys wizard, all I can say is stay tuned, Anthony. We'll have to just keep learning more about the wizard. And I wonder, is it possible that the wizard is just going to want to take on your like this again? We'll have to keep an eye on
It is possible.
it. Notice the
Hey,
wizard has not taken on my likeness yet. So
this is true.
we'll have
This
to
is
see.
true. And well, and and that's the thing too. That's fun. Coming in from collecting at an early age, having that love and passion for Star Wars, getting into creating a market chart, then getting into content creating, putting yourself out there, and everybody knows. So you say, is it possible, right? it's all about the love and the speculation and the passion that we would do as kids, right? I'll give you an example, and you already mentioned it. You were playing around, having R2D2 fighting Darth Vader, right?
Hmm.
Now, but remember at the time when you're young or pre-internet days, whether it's movies, comic books, action figures, we would all kind of sit around with friends and be like, man, wouldn't that be cool if this would happen? Or I wonder if they're gonna do this, or how cool would it be if this happened? I feel like that's kind of like a lot of the content, right? Like when we hang out,
Hmm.
if we do live streams and we talk, it's all speculating and it's fun. And I think that's like, it kind of brings, do you feel like that brings it back to in the day, being a kid and having fun with your friends?
Absolutely. That's the whole purpose of is it possible? And you have to wonder. Wonder is wondering.
Mm,
Wondering is not fact. Is it possible means is it possible, which means it's not happened yet.
right.
That's the whole fun about this stuff. When I was a kid in there were just kids that loved R2D2. Sort of like, I'm going to beat Darth Vader. It was kind of like ignorance is bliss. Listen, if you want to be completely logical, which is fun because I know I have a lot of great friends that are logical all the time, you got to go to
Sure.
bed exactly at this hour. Oh, you can't be laughing like this when you're an adult. No, 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 you can't wear that. No, no, no,
Right.
you can't do this. You start putting on parameters on yourself, which I'm not saying is bad. I know a lot of tremendous people that do that, and it's good. It's just not my vibe. It's not what I want to do. I get a lot of that in life. And when it comes to having fun here, it's fun to talk about Bail Organa. The funny thing about Bail Organa is, for me, it really does have Hot Toys written all over it. It's a phenomenal head sculpt. Jimmy Smits has earned his stripes
Oh,
as an
sure.
actor. We just learned that he's going to come in, and the Hot Toys wizard has gave me a message that he got signed for the Obi-Wan show. Isn't that interesting that he's actually in the Obi-Wan show? And look, just like Timothy Oliphant, I really do think you're going to see more of him on Disney Plus. And it's just when you deduce it, it's just a matter of time. And I get the argument, well, you're going to get him before C3PO. Look, you just got Quill before C3PO. You got a big
True.
blurg before C3PO. You got
Mm,
Casca before C3PO. You got Axe before C3PO. I
yeah.
don't want to hear it. I know. I'm right with you. I feel the pain, but it's
Mm,
going to continue to happen. But C3PO is a different story. Of course. So it's just kind of like fun. It's kind of fun imagining this stuff
oh,
because
yeah.
Hot Toys has done weird things. So is it really so weird to imagine Bail Organa and have some fun with this?
No.
Because they came out with Ahsoka when the Clone Wars Ahsoka was out, and they came out with Ahsoka way before the Ahsoka series. It makes no sense at all. You come out with Quill. No one was thinking they were going to come out with Quill, and Quill is dead. And they
Right.
come out with that with that figure. They've made so many interesting moves. They come out with a 2-pack of Boba Fett, where you can't get Boba Fett in the robes by himself. And then all the feedback on that is I really don't want that 2-pack. And a lot of the feedback is for some of the people that watch the show, they didn't even want to see Boba in the robes. They wanted to see him with the uniform on, which is
Right.
probably why you may. I'm not saying you won't because they don't do things logically. Maybe you will get more with the robes. You may not get that Boba Fett in the robes
True.
ever again. It's just it's hard to figure them out. So I think just having fun. Can R2D2 beat Darth Vader? Of course he can't beat Darth Vader. Should I go to bed at this time? Should I not miss this? Should I not? Of course, you could be very, very logical. But I feel like when it's time for the toy hour, talk about toys. Okay, look, man, what a day at work. Okay, this is going on. I'm going to go on here. I'm going to have some fun. That's what it's
Hmm.
all about. That's why you enjoyed watching Cheers. That's why
Yeah.
people enjoyed watching Seinfeld. It's a release. Seinfeld was a show about nothing. It
Yeah.
was actually about nothing when but it was just so funny. And it was so good to be able to laugh and smile. And here's the thing. Who cares if you don't want Bail Organa? Who cares if the figure doesn't come out? It just
Right.
puts a little smile on some people's faces and it's a lot of fun. So that's kind of what I do.
Very well said. No, that's true. No, it is. It's fun. Like you said, you're getting away, you're having fun, you're speculating, and we'll talk about the things that actually do come out as well. Sure,
Mhm.
but it's very fun to have that wonder, right? Like,
I
wow.
think so. I think so. I mean, I think if you start losing wonder, you stop dreaming, you stop imagining.
Mm.
I don't know. I would never want to get to that point. I always want to be able to imagine, wonder, strive forward. And I think that you got Disney now, which is certainly having our imaginations run wild with Marvel.
Oh
They're
yeah.
certainly doing that with Star Wars.
Hmm.
And I think that a lot of these directors and people that are involved kind of know these things, and they're trying to tie in the X generation with the millennials, with the baby boomers,
Yep.
so on and so forth. It's a hard job. It's a hard job for them to make everybody happy. I remember this with, I'm going to bring up an analogy about Major League Baseball
Mm.
because there was talks for years about we're going to want to lessen the game time because it's
Oh
the
yeah, I remember
4 hour
that.
game, and you're not going to have X generation or even some millennials that are going to want to sit there and watch the Yankees and the Red Sox for 4.5 hours because you're having a game. It's just a long but time to have a game.
Yeah.
But just like some Star Wars, hard nosed Star Wars fans, and I get them and I feel them, they don't want nothing to change, nothing to go off the original IP.
Right.
Don't bring this back. Don't do this. That's why the Phantom Menace in the beginning, it was so hard. There were so many of the old timers that wanted Star Wars left alone. We don't
Yeah.
want to go back. I don't want to hear about anything about Darth Vader that's going to ruin my perception of
True.
Darth Vader. It was not well received at all. But if you want something to continue, you have to continue the story. And
Yeah.
it's a hard balancing act. And I could take anything. It's like I brought in baseball to that. There's going to come a point where they're going to continue to work on the game because eventually all that generation that wants a 4 or 5 hour game is going to be gone. And if you want baseball to continue, you need to close that gap to 2 to 3 hours. It just has to happen.
Yeah. I can
Okay,
see
they
that.
can't be taking that much time between every pitch to sit outside the box and scratch their knuckles or doing this and have the pitcher come off the mound, and you just can't do that. It's wasting too much time if you want
Mm.
the sport to continue to grow and generate interest. And if you're not growing, then you're dying. And make no mistake about it, Disney wants Star Wars to grow. Will
Oh,
they make everyone
absolutely.
happy? No, they won't.
Yeah, you
But
can't
right
please
now they're hitting it
everybody.
out of the park.
I agree. I think they're doing great on that. That's a good point. Now, do you feel that that's the same even here in creating content? Like for example, like you when you first started, doing the channel, it was more of a solo passion project. Now we're here where you're doing live streams, you're meeting people in the community. It's a natural evolution of things, so to speak, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I see a lot of the same people that comment and follow me on your channel, for instance, or
Mm,
on this one's channel, on this channel's live stream and whatnot. So I think it's healthy for a community when you can to kind of get together and network together. I mean, I think that's the strength of a network.
oh yeah.
Together you stand, divided you fall. And I understand. Um, I mean, there's things that you got to do solo. And I think for a lot of creators, it's good to, be solo. But for me, I thought it would be good to kind of branch out. You see a lot of the same people watching me. And it's good to get other people's perspective because I'm not always right. You're not
Oh,
always right.
oh,
And I
absolutely right.
think coming together and coming up with a whole, and even when, there's, different opinions and different scenarios, it really stimulates the mind. I know my mind has been very stimulated by hearing a lot of different takes on things and points of view and things that I'd never even considered, which I think makes for very entertaining um, content for not only us as content creators, because one of the reasons I like to do this is I'm entertained. I'm
Right.
entertained being on your show, on what you have to say, or on Dante's show, or on Will's show, or Lael's show, and that I learn a lot from it. Don't make no mistake. I think we all learn from each other, and I think it's good. Good for the people who are tuning in, and I don't know. I think it's just fun. So I think it is a natural evolution um, for some people who like to go ahead and do. that type of thing. Because I still love to do my solo shows,
Oh,
which is why I
sure.
have Live and Raw. I think it's a good time for me to just come on, talk about some things, and really just interact with um, the people who subscribe to my channel who are interested in that. But I don't think for me, I would do that all the time. It's good to have panels too,
Hmm.
to branch out a little bit.
Oh, yeah, and like you said, to have different opinions and perspectives, from another point of view rather than your own, right? If you're just solo all the time, we're kind of just stuck in our head. You know what I mean? And then someone else is like, "Well, actually, you know what? This is what I think about it." You're like, "Wow,
Hmm.
I never considered that," or things of that
Hmm.
nature. And it is fun. Like I said, you started as a passion, labor of love. You love doing this, and you decided, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do the channel, and I think so far it's been very successful. People definitely love your content. I love your content. But I'm
Thank you.
wondering. Oh, absolutely, brother, man, absolutely. But it's curious because I face this too, and I know others have as well. And I'm wondering, since you've dipped your toes, not now you're in the content creating, you're familiar with it. But did you face any challenges, doing this, as a first time thing, or I guess it's kind of a two pronged question, that if any challenges that you may have encountered, um, and any advice that maybe you could give to people who are in aspiring content creators, because we're seeing that the community's growing. Like you said, it's getting large, and just curious, you know.
I think that there's room for everybody. And so
Mm-hmm.
I personally, my personal opinion and my personal advice for someone who's thinking about creating a channel, go for it, baby. It's never too it's never too crowded for more. And that's my opinion on that. And as far as advice, if you feel a passion, you feel a drive,
Mm-hmm.
what do you got to lose? Just go out there and go ahead and put out your first video. You're going to stutter over a word. You're going to have to re-record something, or your microphone not going to be set up correctly. You're not going to know
Right.
till after it's done. Are you going to be as good with the controls on StreamYard as I am at this point? Look, I sucked at them when I first started. I still struggle with them. It's you can't be worried about any of this stuff. I think if you have a passion and you're able to showcase that passion into the community, I say go for it. My advice would be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try and be something that you're not. And for some people that want to try it, that are just innately shy, but they do have some things that they do, like they always do have a coffee in their hand, or they have a saying that they always go with, or that type of thing. Just be yourself, and just go and do it. And don't be afraid to not cover every single thing. I don't cover every single thing.
Right.
As a courtesy to a lot of the viewers and a lot of my panel members, it's like, well, why did you have the DeLorean on? Well, because there's a lot of talk. We're all in the Hot Toys community. It's a show that a lot of people look forward to. I put that up. It does tie into Star Wars. What does that mean? It's kind of like we're talking about, oh, they might not come out with Green Goblin, which and they might not come out with Doc Ock. And we were all worried about that, including me. Well,
Right.
they did. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean other figures? What does that mean for Star Wars? Does that mean that they're going to come out with figures that we weren't thinking that they did? So it's good to bring these things up, but do what you feel. Um, you must
Mm.
do what you feel is right. Of course, Obi-Wan said that to
Right.
Luke when he was contemplating whether he wanted to go to Alderaan or stay with Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. At the end of the day, if you know that something's not for you, and you really don't want to do a channel because you enjoy just being a part of that,
Right.
don't do it. There are some people that don't want to do that, and because there's certain things that other people do that I don't want to do, and that's perfectly fine. If
Oh,
you really have
sure.
a heart for it, you really want to do it, go for it. There's great people in the community, and we will support you. And
Absolutely.
don't get concerned about numbers, how many subscribers, how many this, how many that. like I said before a couple times during the show, I really don't care anymore about. I've hit more than I ever thought that this would go. Um,
Mm,
and now I'm just going to continue to do what I do. And I love the Aries Tarrington show, and we even did it yesterday. It was a market chart show, and we were talking about the Obi-Wan series, and
right.
not really even Hot Toys at that point. This is great. That's what I like to do. That's what I like to talk about. That's what I'm going to continue to do.
That's awesome. And it is. It evolved in that respect. Like you said, it's we're talking hot toys, but because it's related, to what you love as Star Wars, you can talk about that, like the Obi-Wan show, or talking about Mandalorian, or and then having these panels. And you're right. I feel like you just and brother cousins. One of my good friends. He again. I'll put a thing up here if you guys haven't seen him either. Um, his advice was just do it. It's just start. It,
Mhm.
it doesn't it doesn't matter. All of our first videos are it's a learning curve, and being comfortable, like you said, or if you're shy with it, or maybe feel like who's going to listen to me, or how do I even navigate things, like if I want to do live streams, for example. It's a lot of, what I mean. It takes it's look with anything in life, I think. The more you do it, if you have a passion for it or a desire to see this through, the more you do things, the easier, in a sense, the easier it gets. You get more comfortable. You find your voice. You find out who you are, and like you said, not worry about the who's watching. Am I getting subscribers? Or there's other people that are out there. Well, you have to be different, right? That's my thing. I agree.
And just go for it. It took me 11 months to get a mic like this. And I
Mm,
tell this to martial artists as well. Well, I'm not going to look like Bruce Lee. I'm not going to perform like Ronda Rousey. I'm not going to perform like Conor McGregor. You ain't kidding, you're not. You need a lot more seasoning, and you need a
mm,
lot more time before you ever get at that label, at that level. But you need to step out and do it first. So that's what I encourage you to do. Don't worry about trying to be perfect like this creator, or trying to be like that creator, or do this or do that. Just go for it.
yes.
That's all I could say. My microphone was crappy. Everything was crappy when I first started. But people liked it because they liked. At the end of the day,
Hmm.
uh, it's about what you're putting out over there, not necessarily. I mean, the production matters, production quality matters, all that stuff matters. At the end of the day,
Sure.
it's going to be you that's going to move this, not the microphone. It wasn't this microphone that got
Right.
that got me where I am here. Just saying.
That's true. It's true. Be yourself, right? Know thyself. And yeah, people, you know what I mean. It's absolutely true. You just gotta do it if that's what you guys want to do. And you like you said, you've been growing. You're still growing. Um, before we wrap, I want to know if there is any insight, because I have it for myself, whether it's me as a person or me as my channel. I think it's important that we all have goals in life to kind of get us, motivated or inspired to reach, whatever it is that we want to reach. And with your channel growing, do you have goals set out, or is this, you know you're just kind of going with the flow? You know what I mean? Is there something that you're looking forward to in the channel? Maybe new content, or just growth in general, or anything for like this year, for 2022?
To be honest, not really. I'm just enjoying myself. I
Mm-hmm.
continue to improve the experience on sixthscalecantina.com. I try to continue to improve the production and the quality, the experience on Sixth Scale Cantina, the YouTube channel, and really just continuing to just enjoy Hot Toys and enjoy Star Wars, and really just wherever Favreau and Filoni, wherever Deborah Chow, wherever Disney takes us with Star Wars is kind of where um, I'm going to go. Like I said, I never thought that I would be here. It would be
Mm,
nice to be able to have a show like the John Campea show with the Aries Tarrington show, but I'm not. It's just what it is. I'm just kind of having fun. Where it's going to go in 2022 or the years, it's just I'm having fun. I'm having fun with collecting. I have no plans to stop collecting. I've been
mm,
collecting forever, so I'm going to be collecting. once you get bitten by the Hot Toys bug, I just don't see me, getting out of it. Of course,
Right.
there's no guarantee that Hot Toys will be around for decades to come or even a year from now, but there's always a bigger fish, is also what Qui-Gon said. Who knows?
True.
It's a lot of fun. And I'm just going to continue. The one thing that I do is kind of like with collecting.
Hmm.
I can grow this channel even quicker than where it's going. I'm not interested. I'm really, really not. I'm happy at the pace where it's at. I'm going to continue along that pace. And that's the advice I give anybody else out there. Never bite off more than you can chew.
Mm.
And for me, this is a nice, fun thing. I'm able to kind of do what I do. And that's really all that I want. And hopefully, between you and me, I hope it's just a steady, gradual increase, if it increases at all, over the years, not months. That's really what I want. I've got a lot
Okay.
going on in my life. I've got a lot going on personally, and I enjoy this, and I want to continue to enjoy it. And that's kind of what that's kind of my take on it. Honestly, is just that. If it grows, it grows. But I really don't want it to grow that much. But if it does, am I open to it? Sure, I think maybe. But I'm happy where it is. And I love doing what I'm doing. And I'm just so excited to see what happens with Hot Toys and excited to
Mhm.
see what happens with Favreau and Filoni, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to see where the channel's going as well. I think everybody who's tuning in, uh, nothing but love and support. And and if this is your first time watching this and seeing Aries, can you want to go ahead and just let people know if this is the first time you've ever heard of Sixth Scale Cantina, where can they find you?
Well, Six Scale Cantina is the name of the channel. You can, go right here on YouTube, Six Scale Cantina, right there. Please go ahead and subscribe. I do appreciate your support for sure. You could also find a lot about the channel at sixthscalecantina.com. And you can go right in there, and there's a link to the channel right there. There's always links to the last 3 shows that are up in there. We have 3 shows that I continually do right now. That's the that's the network format. We do the Market Show live every Saturday
Mm-hmm.
at 6 p.m. Eastern, mostly at that time. That's our big show. We have Live and Raw every Monday at 8 p.m. or 8:15 p.m. Eastern, and every Wednesday we do the Aries Tarrington show at 6 p.m. Eastern as well. So you can get that format, and of course, you could find me um, on a lot of different people's live shows, including Six Scale Mafias right here on live shows, and that's it. But yeah, just sixscalecantina.com, or just go to Six Scale Cantina, the YouTube channel here, and you can find me.
And it's such a pleasure to have you on, and we can talk forever. I know, we're we can go hours. I mean, same with everybody we were talking. Even Dante earlier was like, "Wow, I didn't even know what time it was." We can keep, and that's what's fun. We have the passion, the love. Definitely, guys, if you haven't, check out Aries Six Scale Cantina. Again, and I had mentioned this in my previous spotlight, is that this is the first season, so we are going to do multiple seasons of this where some people may return. So Aries, you're always more than welcome. We can touch base again in the future, see what progress has occurred, anything new change, updates on the channel, maybe some new insights. This has been a pleasure to have you here and learning about how it started and your passion and love for Star Wars and bringing it back to the good times and the youth. And it's just it's inspiring to me, and I'm sure many others. So again, thank you again for coming on and sharing your journey with us.
My pleasure, Anthony. Huge honor to be on here. Thank you so much for considering me on the show. Sir, I would love to come on again. I'm sure that we will. And again, thank you so much for having me, my friend.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. Thank you for coming. This has been an amazing episode. It's so fun, you guys. If you again, if this is the first time you see it in here, links in the description. We got multiple interviews already done. We've got much more coming, and yeah, you guys stay tuned, man. I'm glad everybody's been able to find some joy and insights with everybody here in the collecting community. Like I said, it's a big community. A lot more is coming. We got a lot of new content creators coming, and I can't wait to see what everybody's doing this year. So until next time, guys, Aries, final thoughts?
Look, stay thirsty, my friends.
Awesome. All right, guys, we will see you next week. You guys have a great rest of your evening. See ya. Fabio just messaged me, and I was like, yeah, me and Aries are working on it right now, and he's like, oh, nice. Tell him I said no tampons on the interview.
I got it right here, baby. His little freaking it's a drink stick. Son of a gun. Love him.